Well, good morning. Happy Interdependence Day. So it's always a play on words for ministers, right? It's like figure something creative to do that's a little different. So first, I want to acknowledge Independence Day, and it is a celebration of our decision to be our own experience, right? That's a big thing. That's where I think, people that are free thinkers, as we are, originate. I mean, it was one of the expressions of a free thought coming forth we wanted to make our own decisions about how we decided to express ourselves, and here we find ourselves in this United States of America, and we celebrate. And it's a great time for me to express to you how interdependence works. So it's kind of a play on words, but follow me, and I think that you'll find it fun. From the time of our birth, we're taught to look outside of ourselves for everything. Everywhere we look, we see people who are dependent on outside society for what they think. Many who step onto the path of spiritual pursuit begin to experience a correction in this area of dependency and start to depend on inner realm. We're taught to go out and get a job, go out and start a family, go out, get an education, go out, getting kicked out of the nest, right? Just go. Just go away, right? And then we do those things and we feel kind of happy. I mean, we think we're supposed to feel happy, but it isn't inner fulfilling. We're not like, sometimes when we set a goal for ourselves and we achieve it, and we've all done this, and then we get to that goal and we go, I was supposed to feel more fulfilled by now. Here I am, 30 something. And I haven't done everything I wanted to do in my life. What's going on? What's wrong? And then we realize the things that we've been taught or told would fulfill us don't fill us full. And we have that, degree or that fill in the blank, the family, but we still feel like there's something else eluding us consciously. I believe that in the future, an all-encompassing interdependence on our higher self, God, the divine, the master, great spirit, whatever you want to call it, will be so natural that it will be the foundation of life, that we will all become aware. And if you're in this room, you're pretty much have awoken up. You have a clue that there's something else going on that you've taken on your life. It's really easy not to take on your life, just to be accustomed to whatever is going on and not to want to address your feelings or take a direction in your life and just be directed by the current news cycle or just sports or just one thing. But usually it doesn't quite do it for you. At least it didn't for me, and that's why I got to a point in my life where I had to really look at what I believed and why I believed it. Something as simple as having a favorite color. I realized that I had borrowed a favorite color from someone else because I couldn't make mine own up. And just like my favorite football team, I traced back why I loved that football team. And it was because my childhood friend down the street, Stevie Gruber, Stevie Gruber was from Wisconsin and loved Green Bay. And so that became my team. To this day, I love the Green Bay Packers. But it wasn't because I was from Wisconsin. It's because my best friend loved them and I had his love of it. Now, I still love Green Bay Packers, but I had to examine that. Now I have another favorite team, that's my team, for different reasons. So sometimes we have to examine why we love what we love. Why are you a particular political party? Or why do you love a certain color or love a certain type of car or anything? And when you trace it back, you can find that if it wasn't yours, it was usually a loving family member or friend or relative that really had this love of things, and you adopted their love of it, and it became your love too. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just have your own. Find your own inner dependence. Depend on something that you love. I was recently talking to a friend, and I said, "What's your dream?" And she said, "Well, I want my kids to be successful and to have college educations and then to find vocations." I said, "Okay, that's a great dream, but what's your dream?" She says, "Well, that is my dream, is to have my children succeed." And I said, "Well, that's a dream for them, but what's your dream?" She had to get back to me because she didn't know she was allowed to have a dream because she had a family, and that was what you do, is you provide for them, right? And she's recently got into art and all this interesting other stuff because she found a place in herself that was lacking those things that she wanted to be. What sweet wonder awaits us when we come to depend more and more upon the clear vision and unwavering instructions we may hear and feel from our intuition. God, Spirit, Source, whatever you want to call it, whatever your idea of what created everything that is. That's the beauty of our teaching. We don't tell you what that is because it's your idea to decide what that is for you. The more we grow to depend upon our own interdependence ourselves, the more we will see that our previous dependence upon society has only been leading us away from our divine self and therefore always away from ourselves. This is just what it's structured to do. It's structured to put you in a box so that you buy a certain product, so that you go to a certain place to spend your money in a certain way. And, it's a little different, in this teaching. We've all broken away from all that, or most of that. But I just ask you to identify why you buy a product. What is your motivation behind it? I find myself going to the store to shop for things just to shop. Now, that may be a addictive, compulsive behavior that I have, but I've identified that. Now I go shop and I give myself an imaginary $100 to spend, and then I walk out of the store without the basket. So I can get that out of my system. It's a way of me expressing myself without having to spend any money. You might try that if that's your challenge. So it's really fun to just know that there are people that put that product away for you after you've put it in your cart and just walk away from it, that you're helping someone with a job. So that's my justification, right? So what is your dream? What is your ministry? As we learn to focus our awareness upon what we do want and remove our attention from what we don't want, an interdependence begins to align itself with our highest intent in our life. Because in this teaching, we know that if we focus on what we don't want, energy flows where your attention goes. So what are you focusing on? And what I found when I first started to do this was all of a sudden I was starting to really focus on what I didn't want, because that's the way the mind works. Is at first it resets, and my mind resets to a negative for some reason. And I had to really pull the reins back of my conscious thinking and say, whoa, Nellie, I am choosing to go in a positive direction. Now, if I just get lazy, I find once in a while I tend towards the negative and I got to pull it back. But I've been doing this long enough that I automatically think of the highest and best. I've got that filter in me because of, if you want to learn something, teach it. That's why I became a minister. I knew that I would pray every day if I became a minister, right? And boy, you don't pray every day, you pray all the time when you become a minister. But I don't mean that all of you need to become ministers unless you've got the call. And then by all means, please. It's a wonderful vacation, by the way. So, how does one obtain freedom of thought? Here's a few ideas to remember about this. Know and be aware of who you truly are. Who do you believe yourself to be? I was walking through a particularly challenging situation. I was alone for the first time in my life. I had never been alone. I always had a girlfriend or family around me because then I didn't have to look at myself. Each. That was tough. And then I found myself on my knees at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to figure myself out. And I did what any good metaphysician does. They call their practitioner. Unfortunately, it was 2 in the morning, but she said I could call her anytime. And so I did because I was in crisis mode. I was hurting. And she said, "Who is this?" I said, "It's Steve from church." She said, "Who is this?" I said, "It's Steve from church." I thought that I had just woken her up at 2 in the morning. She didn't know who I was. She said, "No, who is this?" And I went back to my teaching, and I remember that everything is God. And I said, "I'm God." She goes, "Now we can talk." She had just done a practitioner session with just a few words. And from then on, I got it. I got that I wasn't all that God is, but if I believed that everything was God, I was part of God too. It changed my life, changed the direction, the trajectory of my consciousness at that moment. So here's another idea. Know what you're thinking about when you're thinking about it. Choose something and be clear about it. So if you are like me and automatically go to the negative, and it's okay because that's, for whatever reason, sometimes we do that. What's the exact opposite of the most negative? People always say, well, how bad can it get? Start saying, how good can it get? What's the best? What is a win-win for everyone involved? What if you woke up and it wasn't the first thing that you thought about? What if that challenge had disappeared, had disseminated to the point that it went back into the nothingness from which it came? What would you think about? What direction would your thought go? And start moving yourself in the direction of what you do want. Have the ability to change your thinking whenever you choose, and it's okay to change your mind. If you go to a restaurant and order something, and then you see the waitress comes by with something really good, and then you're like, oh, I want to change my order. It's okay to change your order. Now, you may have to pay for what you did order, but you don't have to eat it. Sometimes something will be sat down in front of you and you're like, that's not what I thought I ordered. It's okay to change your order. Don't think that just because you ordered something from the universe that you have to experience it. It's okay to change your order. Now, like I said, you may have to pay for those Brussels sprouts or whatever it was, but wouldn't you rather have macaroni and cheese or something like that? or a fresh salad. And it's okay to change your order. So this next idea is something that works very well for me, and I found it on a tag on one of my clothes, and it said, wash, rinse, and repeat until desired freedom is obtained. I added that last part. Stop stinking thinking. If you find yourself in a negative loop, and come on, it happens, right? Go, okay, whoa, I'm being negative. Whoa, stop. And start thinking the exact opposite. What's the best that it can be? You know, I got myself one of these little bracelets, you know, these, it says no complaints here. So what you're supposed to do is when you start complaining, you take it off and put it on the other wrist. And when you can get to 21 days of no complaints, then you don't have to do it anymore. You can take the bracelet off. And I don't change the wrist anymore. I just snap it when I have a negative thought come up. And what happens is your mind is so creative that a negative thought will come up and you'll get a sting right there without even snapping it, because you know what's right and wrong. So I'm just like, you know, all of a sudden my wrist will just start tingling. I'll know that I'm already thinking in that direction. But we need to wash, rinse, and repeat. And when I first came into this teaching, I needed a good brainwashing. I mean, literally, my mind was so filled with negative ideas that isn't it awful and how bad can it get and oh, the trouble I've seen. I needed a good washing and rinsing and repeating until I could start thinking clearly again and start looking at things differently. So are you a hostage to your thoughts of lack, limitation, or family, race consciousness? I started examining why I believed what I believed, and we had this thing in our family when we'd go out to dinner. There was 4 kids, there's 6 of us total, and there was this idea that my dad said, okay, FHB. Family hold back, right? That meant order the salad, split something with somebody because we had $20 to go out to dinner for 6 people, right? And that carried with me as a young adult. And I realized that I was still living in an FHB mentality. Family hold back. You know, I'd go to buy something for myself and I'd look at what I really wanted, and then I'd scale it down and look at what the, you know, what's the blue label, or what's, you know, what's the generic, or what's the minimal that I have to spend. And now I've geared it back up to, okay, what's better than the best, okay? Is there another store that might carry the gold leaf, you know, ones or something like that? And the internet is wonderful for shopping. I'm a shopper, so I love to look at, you know, what's the bells and whistles one look like? Just to know, you know, just to see. But once I identified that consciousness, and I invite you to look back of why you hold back in certain areas of your life. You know, are you depending on an external influence to guide you? Or are you looking for your inner intuitive that says, yes, you can have anything you want. You can. You can have those things, and there's no guilt or shame about it. You should be having those things. It is ours to prosper. We're not here to buy the blue label. Now, if those generic products will do the same job, then by all means, you know, save yourself some cash. But if you want that really nice thing, treat yourself. It's okay to treat yourself a little bit. So what is freedom to you? And I've heard this interpretation from a practitioner. Freedom is doing what I want to do, when I want to do it, in the style and manner of my choosing. Now think about that. That's a great freedom, isn't it? If you're going to fly, look at the first class price just to see, it's a lot more, but you know what? Seats are so nice in first class. There's times when if you're going on a long trip, it's worth to do. The more we grow to depend on our interdependence, ourselves, the more we will see that our previous dependence upon society has only been leading us away from the divine and therefore away from ourselves. And this is an intentional thing. This is just what happens when we don't have an intuitive guide, when you have relied on the outside sources for so long. So check in with yourself. Go, what would it look like if I loved at depth? What would it look like if I didn't come from a feeling of lack? If I was living an abundant life, what would it look like? If you want to be an artist, what does an artist have for breakfast? Granola? Fruit? Bacon and eggs? I'm not going to fill in the blank. That's up to you to decide. Just think about it. I'm here to kind of get your mind moving, right? So what is your dream? As we start to move towards what we do want, where in life do you feel bound? Money, finances, abundance? Is it relationship? Is it love? Is it creativity, self-expression, your life's work? Or in your spirituality? Do you feel like there's a block somewhere? And again, I'm just identifying these are the 4 categories that most people are working with. Money, relationships, creativity, and spirituality. And there's more. There's others that are these subcategories. But when we express a whole life, we want to visit all these rooms in our mansion. I found that my abundance room was having some dust in there, and I had to go in and clean it up. I had to light the fire in my exercise room once in a while if I was going to feel fit. So I just invite you to express in all the areas of your life. So if you feel bound somewhere, what does the opposite feel like? Can you imagine what freedom feels like? And let's go just a little deeper here. What would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail? What would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail? Is there a book waiting to be written by you? Is there a concert waiting to be given by you? Is there something that you are wanting to do, but because of your fear of expressing yourself, that you haven't done it yet? So, if you tell yourself you can, you will. And if you believe you can't, you won't. That's just how the law works. If we run around, saying that we want to have a relationship and we have a bumper sticker that says happiness is being single, think about it. We're saying one thing, God, I don't have a relationship. I don't know why. But you're telling the universe something else, right? What you are speaks so loud that I can't hear what you say. So what is your way of expressing love? And love is the key here. Love is the venue in which we live. And if what you want to do expresses love in some way, you're on the right track. You were born free to express in your way. You already have been given the keys to the kingdom in just having a life. You have been given free choice. You get to choose the hard road or the easy road, the blue label or the gold leaf. It's up to you. So what is your ministry? Are you a music minister? Or are you do you wash cars? Or whatever it is, make it your ministry. Make it the thing that you do better than anybody else can. If you wash floors, walk in so that people that look at that floor will go, wow, who washed that floor today? You know? Because you love it so much, you did it in a way that nobody else can. Because we all have our own gifts. What do you want to be when you grow up? And we're always growing up. We never arrive. Just because you're an adult doesn't mean that you've stopped learning. It just means that you get to learn in your own way now. What is your way? So how does one obtain the freedom of thought? Know and be aware of who you are. Know what you're thinking. And when you're thinking something challenging, know how to think positive. Have the ability to change your thinking whenever you choose, and it's okay to change your mind. Wash, rinse, and repeat until desired freedom is expressed. And in conclusion, I wanted to leave you with a saying, and this is attributed to Nelson Mandela and Marianne Williamson. It's very confused of who said what, but it doesn't matter because the quote is so good. So, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. You are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within you. It's not just in some of us. It's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And so it is. Thank you. So it's time for our healing prayer. So if you'd like to close your eyes or take a soft focus on the candles or whatever takes you deeper, let's go into prayer now. So I invite you to bring to mind whatever you believe created the wisdom that you are. What is life itself? As we bring this awareness to the forefront of our consciousness and we begin to contemplate who and what we are, we activate the miraculous energy of the universe on our behalf. For I know that there is only one of us here. It is you, as everything that is. It is everything that is as you. One in the same. One. And as we recognize our freedom on this interdependence weekend, as we examine why we believe what we believe a new emergence of the self comes forward. A new idea about our truth is revealed to us. For I know that as we turn our attention in the direction of our dreams, our desires, our love, that love, that desire, and that dream builds, is augmented, is given life, and presents itself in our greatest yet to be. Speak a word of prayer upon anyone, anywhere who has asked for prayer, who has written it down or verbalized it to another, typed it in their computer or on their cell phone, or maybe just asked in the subconscious of their mind, said, why can't I have more? Why can't I do more? I choose to express more love. And I know that that energy of life is right there in the midst of the question, expressing itself as the power of love itself. For there are no wrong questions. So I accept, knowing that whatever is your dream is the expression of your creative genius. I know that each one of us, as we step into that power, are provided by that power in a way that makes sense to us. So I say thank you. Thank you, divine, loving wisdom of the universe, for this time, this space, and this place. As we place these words directly into the law of mind, they are acted upon in a way that we can identify and make use of in our lives right here and right now. And I accept. As we release this treatment into the law of mind, knowing it is so, we affirm it by saying, and so it is.